Okay, so you know how like sometimes you hear these crazy stories about like celebrities and stuff, and you're just like, hold on, what was actually going on there?
Right. Like behind the curtain.
Exactly, yeah. That's what we're kind of diving into today.
I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
So picture this. 2007, New York City, Diddy, like P. Diddy, Sean Combs, he's throwing these legendary parties.
Oh, yeah. Infamous. Everyone's heard about these parties.
Right, like the epitome of glamour, exclusivity, but.
Yeah.
And there's always a but, right.
Always a but.
But what was really happening at these things?
The underbelly, right.
Yeah, we're going to dig into some firsthand accounts that suggest a much darker side to those nights.
Okay.
And a lot of it centers around this British TV host, Precious Muir. Back then, she was a young model trying to break into the scene.
Okay, so she was there.
Yeah, and she was going to these parties, you know, like anyone trying to make it, to network, meet people, hopefully get her foot in the door.
Makes sense, right? That's how you make connections.
Totally. But she quickly realized that these weren't your typical industry gatherings. Like, this wasn't just, here's a glass of champagne, mingle, make some contacts.
Yeah, oh.
Yeah, she describes this really intense, almost like predatory drug scene.
Wow.
Like, drugs were everywhere. It was expected, almost.
And that's where the leader of the pack comes in, right?
Exactly. This is where Diddy comes in. She literally calls him the leader of the pack. Think about that for a second, right? It's not just a party. It's almost like he was curating this whole atmosphere where this behavior was just...
It's normalized.
Yeah, normalized, encouraged even.
Yeah, and when someone like that with that level of influence is basically what condoning this,
yeah,
it sets a dangerous precedent.
Totally. And it's not just, you know, a party culture thing, right? Like, this gets even darker when you think about the accusations from over 120 people against Diddy alleging sexual assault.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, this is serious. So we're talking about potential abuse of power here, right? You've got these young people, often women, who are, what, desperate to succeed, starstruck maybe? They're going to these parties looking for a way in. And it's like shooting fish in a barrel, isn't it? They're vulnerable.
Yeah, exactly. And what really struck me was Muir saying that, in a way, not doing drugs might have actually saved her. Like, she saw how easily these other women were getting swept up in it all.
Oh, yeah. And how quickly it can spiral, right?
Exactly. And it makes you wonder how many others weren't so lucky. How many felt pressured to, like, make these impossible choices, you know?
Right, because how do you say no in that situation to someone like that in that environment? It's intimidating.
Exactly, yeah. And I think that's what makes Muir's story so important.
Like a cautionary tale, right?
Yeah, but also a story of, like, resilience and awareness.
Because it's easy to judge, to say, why would you put yourself in that position?
Right.
Right? But the reality is this happens everywhere, in all kinds of industries.
Totally. It's about power, and it's about recognizing the warning signs, knowing your worth, and having the strength to walk away even when it feels impossible.
Yeah. And that's tough, but so important.
So I guess the question for all of us is, what can we do? How can we support young people, give them the tools and the confidence to navigate these situations, to call out bad behavior?
And not just young people, anyone who might be vulnerable.
Right, absolutely. We need to create a culture where people feel safe to speak up, where they're believed and supported, not silenced or blamed.
Right. It's on all of us to be aware and to do better, to hold people accountable, no matter who they are.
Because ultimately, isn't that the point? If we want to see real change, it has to start with each of us.
100%.
So yeah, it's easy to get caught up in the glitz and the glamour, right? But Muir's story is a stark reminder that there's often a much darker, much more complex story beneath the surface.
It makes you really think, right? About the true cost of making it.
Exactly. And it's a conversation that we all need to be having. So next time you see those headlines, those glamorous photos, take a moment to think about the people behind them, the stories that aren't being told. Because the truth, as they say, is often much more complicated.
Well said.
And that's our deep dive for today.